he compared Pedri's legs to spaghetti strands. I was like, what the hell's going on?
Okay, the game's go bad. You made a throwaway point, yeah, and I think it ties us into this in that you kind of said something earlier about this is the reason we signed Gyokeres. I like the fact that I think Gyokeres can adapt to the system, but he's very different in terms of the profile. What you see is what you get. He's 27 years of age. He's kind of right now, no player is without faults. There's going to be times where he's not doing the business and we need other people to chip in. But the fact that he's very much unlike the Arteta system in theory, I'm with that. But then I ask you, do you think, and stay with me, I'll explain, but do you think this is Mikel Arteta's Haaland moment? Obviously, I'm not comparing Gyokeres to Haaland. I hope he's up there for the Golden Boot, and I purely say that because you look in the modern day, you could say Gyokeres now, but Haaland is almost like a traditional striker, innit? He's not the false nine kind of thing. Now, obviously, Pepper's won with a false nine, with no striker, and with Haaland. But I think he looked at Haaland and saying, you're never going to be, you know, what I say is my dream striker type of thing. Obviously, the fact that you can score goals is great, but the false nine, the pulling into the channels, all the kind of stuff that the modern day requires, right? He's probably looked at Haaland and said, give me 50%. So you do 50% of what I need with the system, and I'll find 50% of what you can do in it. Do you feel that might be something that has to happen with Gyokeres? Because you're not going to see him operate like a Havertz or a Jesus or anything else.
I agree with you, Deluded. One thing people don't realize is what you just said, that last sentence right there. They think because we have to change our game that all of a sudden things are going to mean it's going to get worse for us or it's going to take too long to adapt. But in the same breath,
they want us to be unpredictable.
But in the same breath, those same people are sitting here saying it's over. They've signed Florian Wirtz at Man City, at Liverpool. It's over. They've signed Cherki and Reinders at Man City, and they got proper fullbacks now. Don't they have to adjust the way they play too? Wait. Don't they have more players walking into their starting 11 that's changing the way they play than we do? They lost Trent. They're getting in a 10 that they haven't played with in a long time. Arsenal, all we're really doing is taking a type of striker which was like a false nine and getting a more traditional like battering time striker who will take as many chances as possible, and if he misses up a chance, will fight to get the ball back and get another chance for us.
And won't feel sorry for himself if he misses chances. Unfortunately, some of our players, their heads do drop.
Hey, that's why mentality is key.
And that's the best
I
thing.
think Viktor Gyokeres' mentality was one of the major reasons why I always wanted him. I was never one of the people who came on stream and said Viktor Gyokeres was not my first choice. I was not one of these people who were vouching for Sesko. And that's probably why some of these guys are still vouching for Sesko and they're quite upset. But,
just let it go, man.
But at the end of the day, Arsenal Football Club have got the best deal. I think they've gotten the more experienced player and the player with the better mentality.
And hungry to do this.
Podcast. Shout out to him. You've had him on the show.
Clive, big up Clive, man. Him and Adrian Clark said it best about mentality.
Yeah, he said it from day dot. When last summer when we wanted Sesko, and he said to us, "I'm not sure," or his camp said they're not sure if this is the best location for him and his development because they don't know if he could overtake Kai Havertz. Where Viktor Gyokeres' camp, the moment that they got in contact with Arsenal, they started saying, "We want the number 9 shirt." And
I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to make history.
And we see ourselves taking that job. So he's
got the dog in him.
So it's like he's saying, forget the fact that Jesus has the number 9. Give me that right now. I'm taking it off his back.
These men can't talk to me. I'm taking all of their stuff. All right.
Yeah. And also, it's a thing where it's like I'm walking in the building. Best believe I'm taking the penalties. Best believe I'm walking in the building. I'm the one that some of you guys were scoring goals. Like 10, 15 goals. Now you're gonna be getting 10, 15 assists in a season, hopefully, with me around. That's the kind of guy that I think we've signed. And
hopefully he's saying Marino, Havertz, Jesus, Saliba, you man do the heading thing. I'll do the rest.
100%. And you know something? Arsenal need to realize there is no perfect option out there. Isak's not perfect. Like as much as we talk about it,
that's the closest to being perfect, though. I'm not gonna lie. In an ideal world. But you're
Even
right.
he's not perfect. The price is not perfect. There's never the perfect deal. We could sign Messi in his just before entering his prime. People will have a problem with it. We could have signed Cristiano Ronaldo in Portugal. People would have a problem with it. The main reason why people have a lot of problems with Viktor Gyokeres, the Portuguese league has a bad rap, and I see where they're coming from. But the difference is from the players who have translated into from the Portuguese league, which were wingers, and not mostly were not strikers. They were not the prototype striker of a Viktor Gyokeres. Viktor Gyokeres can score with both feet. Viktor Gyokeres is able to use his pace and use his power, and already has the physicality to acclimatize to the Premier League. He's coming into a team that creates so many chances that we can create 18 chances in a game versus Manchester United at home and lose 1-1 in penalties because of the fact that we don't have somebody to finish those chances. Now, I am not going to sit here and start selling you on dreams. All I'm going to tell you is if you were to have taken Arsenal's chances last year versus Manchester United, versus PSG, versus I don't know who else, name whatever team, versus
Aston Villa when it was 2 goals up, and it could have been
Newcastle
4
in the first game, and you give it to somebody who's 2-footed, who's able to strike the ball a lot stronger and harder than some of these guys who just try to finesse it in. That's why we get a lot of our chances blocked or saved, because we're always trying to finesse it in the final third. We're always trying to make it look simple and
you don't
beautiful.
have natural goal scorers, man.
Yeah, sometimes you just need somebody to get in the box, hit the ball as hard as they can on target, and get it into the back of the net. Whenever I see my strikers taking shots, it's Kai Havertz trying to deflect it into a perfect corner, or Jesus trying to take an extra touch, or bless his heart, Eddie Nketiah trying to do too much, or just over the last.
That's why, yeah, you're right. Marino in his little purple patch, he's probably one of the most composed finishers at the club, in which it's not competent. Really, when you remove the romance, it's not making sense. We're not going to get over the line. And do you know what's so funny again? I would say and I'm not talking about people that don't have concerns about Gyokeres and are not open to be proven wrong. The ones that are so heavy, and this is coming from one of Sesko's biggest fans, the ones that were so enticed by what Sesko could do and the potential, and they use the buzzwords on social media. Do you know what's so funny about them? Yeah, it's always trust the club, trust the process. If Mikel Arteta wants him, all of these things, when it's a player that you want. Now it's a player that you're like, oh, I'm not sure, which is crazy. But, now you're not saying that kind of thing. And I must admit, you can want Sesko, you can want Gyokeres, but let's be honest, the nerds and all of that, I think there is a disparity between how man are talking about Sesko and how they're speaking about Gyokeres. I don't think you've played football at any level, because you would think Sesko is up here and Gyokeres is down there. I have no doubt Sesko is going to be a great striker. I have no doubt, even in the 5 years ago, that Gyokeres stays here. By God's grace, we win a Premier League and a champs and do all those things. Equally, we might look back and think, oh, there's Sesko. But there'll be a next one. I like the fact that this is win now mode. When I look at him at 27, when I look at Zubamendi at 26, when I look at potentially Eze, I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch, at also 27, this is telling me go and get it done. And no, they fancy him. They defo fancy him. They fancy him. I'm not downplaying Sesko. But if you were to talk about systems and all of that, it's all potential based primarily with Sesko. And I can tell you about how he was a facilitator for Openda, how I think people are harsh with the goals, how I feel he runs fast, he jumps high, he's got the physical qualities. I actually think his mentality is good. But because of that, you would think Sesko is up here and Gyokeres is down there. Gyokeres has a proven track record. He can adapt and he's hungry. He's coming back to these shores with, the point to prove. It's a bit like if we were jumping ahead, but signed Ademola Lookman. Everyone's still, even though you've, won, I think, African Football of the Year, you've won Europa League, you've done all these things. People still remember the one that, missed it, tried to chip a penalty and missed. Everyone would look at Gyokeres right now and be like, oh, Portuguese.
Look at Fernando Torres at Chelsea.
You get it. Portuguese League championship. Oh, he was at Brighton. They signed players from all over the world. Why did he make it there? He's going to have that swagger. And in that sense, in terms of adversity, there's a lot of teammates at Arsenal that have had to prove those doubters wrong. And we spoke about this the last time he was on the platform. Whether you get Sesko, Gyokeres, even Zubamendi, because I've been hyping him, there's pressure on Arteta to deliver, but there's also pressure on these players. And I think pressure's a privilege.
Even Rodrigo
wants that. Go on.
Everyone wants Rodrigo, but Deluded, if we give him 300k a week and we pay 70, 80 million for him, he's going to be on more pressure than Florian Wirtz. You know that, right?
They're all going to be on pressure. Obviously, Arsenal gets Nah, they're all no. It's
Rodrigo. Rodrigo joins Arsenal. He will be under the most pressure out of every player in the Premier League
because he plays for us. I think they're all equally
because he
pressure.
will officially be our most important player.
I mean, by default, yeah, but I don't know. I need to see it. I want to go back, just make a brief comment on what you said, yeah, about how we need to change and whatnot. You're going to see the real onslaughts Liverpool now because they've had a market. There's probably going to be some little Klopp things he does, but now you're going to see him. City need to reinvent themselves, and Pep, even when they've been at the top, has reinvented themselves. We need to reinvent ourselves because on one hand, unpopular opinion, how we play is fine. I have no issue around it. But you see, in terms of fine margins, now we need to be a bit random, whether that's changing systems in game or in games, whether that's, people swapping flanks, whether that's penetrating central areas. Signing players is part of the job. Of course, like EGAL saying, if we get Rodrigo, Eze, Gyokeres, this one, that one to go with Saka, we're bullish. But I think everybody's going to be naive if they think these players rock up and we're breaking down low blocks. There's a lot to do, but it is a step in the right direction, man. Like, I can understand wanting Sesko. I can hear it. But you can't say, how can you not be excited about Gyokeres? How? The man's lit. And I also, while we're on the topic of Gyokeres, people talk about the Portuguese league. I saw this tweet and I thought, yeah, we're going to speak about this because you articulated it perfectly, innit? You said, for anyone just listening on the audio thing, make sure you're liking, subscribing, and you're following EGAL. It's in the title, EGAL Talks Football. Stop comparing Darwin Núñez to Viktor Gyokeres. Gyokeres has got more goals this past season than Núñez did in his 2 seasons in Portugal. Expand on that for us.
It's very simple. If you guys cannot see the image, let me just go to
tell me when you want me to change.
34 goals for Darwin Núñez, and what was it? 34. And can you go to the other image?
Okay, cool.
34 and 14 over a 2-year span. And if you also look at the XG, Darwin Núñez slightly overperformed his XG, where Viktor Gyokeres in the same league had 50 goals in about like 50 something games, where Darwin Núñez in 85 games had the same like 48 goals. So I'm just telling you guys right now, when you guys say Darwin Núñez ripped up that league, there's a different level. Nobody's going out there and signing a striker that scored 97 goals over 2 calendar years and telling me, oh, he won't be able to score goals in another league. It just doesn't make sense. Yes, there might be competition. Yes, it might be more difficult, but it's getting to the point where people are lying to suit their arguments. Viktor Gyokeres scores in big games. He scored in the final. He scored in big title races versus
United fans know about him in Champions League because they were twerking for him and Sporting when
versus Man City. Versus Arsenal, 5-1 down.
Moment.
5-1 down. Was it 5-1? 5-1 down. He's still busting his ass to get a goal, to get something. What the hell is that?
Exactly.